My neighbor killed my cat. Hey everybody, this is Jeff here from the Watch Jeff Art channel. And in this video, while we start this latest drawing, I'm going to tell you a story about how my neighbor killed my cat. So if you have a desire, if you've always wanted to hear about a cat being killed by someone's neighbor, well, I have some great news for you. You have come to the right video to watch. So, why am I even talking about this? Well, normally I like to ask or answer questions on these videos, and if anyone has questions for me, I try and answer them, but I don't have any questions to answer at this point, and so I'm just going to tell you this true story from my life, and you can watch this video of me drawing in the background. So, my neighbor, next door neighbor, had a cat, very expensive cat, like $2,000 cat, Siamese cat, very beautiful. And this cat loved this neighbor and was afraid of everybody else. Well, one day, this neighbor died. In fact, she died inside of her house. In fact, her body wasn't discovered for 3 weeks while it was left decomposing next door to my house. But that is a whole other story. That's a whole other video. If you guys want to hear that story, maybe I'll just leave me a comment and let me know, and maybe I'll tell it in another video. Needless to say, after she died, her house ended up going on the market and getting sold, months later. And that was it. And to be honest, we all kind of forgot all about it until about 4 or 5 months later. I'm in my backyard, and who do I see but her cat, this Siamese cat that I just thought the cat was picked up by, relatives of the owner, and I just figured the cat was gone. I had no idea the cat was still around like 4 or 5 months later. Who was taking care of this cat? Nobody was even, the house was left vacant. It was just sold, or it was, I don't know what happened. It was just, I think the house was sold and just left sitting there or something. So, the cat was on its deathbed. It was super skinny. You could see its ribs. It looked like it had some infections in its eyes. It was usually scared of everybody, but now it was so weak it can barely move away from me. So I ended up giving it some food, and it just was super hungry. It just started eating, and I nursed it back to health. And every day I would feed it and water it and pet it, and it slowly gained its trust to where eventually it was completely back to health. The cat put on weight, all the infections and stuff went away, and it really grew attached to me. Now, whenever I went out into my backyard, she came right up to me. She'd hop on my lap. She was very affectionate. It was a complete 180-degree turnaround from how the cat used to be. And we ended up adopting this cat as our own. We kept it as an outside cat because, we couldn't bring it inside. We had a dog. We had our own other cat. And, I just figured we'll do the best we can. So it was our new outside cat, but she didn't have any claws. So we wanted to make sure the cat stayed in our yard. So that was sort of how we adopted the cat. And we fed the cat, and for years we had this cat. I'd say maybe 5 years this cat was our cat. A couple times the cat would get out of our yard, and we'd find her back in her original house, in the backyard of her original house. And we had to go back there. And of course, new neighbors now live there. So we'd have to knock on their door and say, our cat is back there. Can we go get it? And we'd bring the cat back. But for the most part, the cat stayed in our yard. Okay, fast forward to last year. We go outside, and we notice we haven't seen the cat for a while. And her food is being left untouched. And so we start looking around our yard. Maybe she died, maybe maybe she was kind of old. So we started looking under things and behind things, and no, didn't see her. Looked in her, over the fence into her old backyard where her old neighbor used to be, her old house. Didn't see the cat back there. For about a week, we were looking for this cat. And one day, we were out in the front yard walking around, and an old lady across the street said, "Excuse me, are you looking for a cat by any chance?" And me and my daughter said, "Yeah, we're looking for a cat. We haven't seen her for like a week. And maybe she got out or something. So we're just kind of walking around seeing if we find her." And she goes, "Was the cat a Siamese cat?" And now I'm thinking, oh crap. Like, this isn't good. If you know what kind of cat this is, something must have happened. So we said, "Yeah, it's a Siamese. Why? Is she dead? Did something happen?" And this lady says, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but your cat was killed by this other neighbor's dog." And she points to a house that's 2 doors down from us. And I know exactly what house it is. It's a house where the owners always let their dog just roam around. They hang out in their garage, they leave their garage open, and they just let the dog run around. And she goes, "That dog killed your cat." And I go, "What? When did this happen?" She's like, "It happened about a week ago." And she goes, "And I saw the whole thing." I go, "Wait a minute. You saw the whole thing? What happened?" She goes, "Well, yeah." She goes, "I would have told you. I didn't know it was your cat, but, I saw the dog run up right along, near the side yard where your fence is. And I have a hole in my fence. And the cat would sometimes go out of this hole, sunbathe right outside where the fence is, and then come back in my backyard." Apparently the dog ran up to where that is, and the cat was just completely taken off guard. And she said the dog she heard a commotion. She didn't physically see it. She saw the dog run up there. She heard a commotion. She heard the neighbor run out there, yell the dog's name really loud, go up and get the dog, and then bring the dog back to their house, and then they stayed inside. And so this old lady neighbor said she walked up to see, well, what the heck happened? And that's when she saw my cat was left. Actually, she said the cat was still alive, but barely alive, just completely mortally wounded, left out there near the side of my fence. And she was completely shaken. She said she started crying, and she went back and confronted the neighbors. And she said, "What are you doing? And how can you leave that cat there like that, completely injured?" And she said then the neighbor came back and took the cat and apparently buried it somewhere. And that all happened a week before. So we're now hearing about this now from this lady. And so when I heard that, honestly, I didn't know what to do. I've always been friendly with this other neighbor with the dog. I've always petted their dog. The dog was always friendly to me and my kids. The only thing the dog's done in the past that's kind of made me upset was he's crapped on my lawn, which they've tried to pick up, okay? Their neighbors have tried to pick up the dog crap when they've seen it. So I guess what I'm saying is, otherwise I've been friendly with these neighbors and friendly with their dog. So now I didn't know how to approach them about this. So I wanted to wait for the right time. I wanted to wait until I saw them outside. I didn't want to just walk over to them in their garage and confront them. I wanted to kind of catch them off guard when they were by my house. And one day, so about a week after I found out what they did, or what their dog did, I saw the perfect moment. Okay, I saw the guy outside. He was getting mail out of his mailbox, which was right near mine. And I ran outside and said, "Hey, excuse me." And I called him by his name. I'll keep names out of this video, but I just say, "Hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second?" And he's like, yeah, sure. What's going on? And I said, hey, I just want to, talk to you because I heard your dog killed my cat the other week. And he's like, oh, was that your cat? I said, yeah, it was my cat. And, I'm really kind of disappointed that, nobody told me about it. I had to hear from the neighbor, the old lady across the street had to be the one to tell me about it. And I just want to hear your side of the story. Like, what happened? How did that even happen? Why did that happen? And he said, well, I just came home from the store and I was taking groceries out of my car and bringing them into the kitchen, and my door was open, and, the dog got out, and, once I heard, this commotion, I ran over there and I yelled at him and I got him off, and yeah, I'm just really, really sorry about that. And I said, yeah, I'm really sorry about that too. I go, but why did you not bother to tell me about it? Why wouldn't you knock on my door? That's what I'm really disappointed about. And he said, well, I didn't know it was your cat. And I said, well, I mean, your dog killed a cat right next to my house. Didn't it even cross your mind to maybe knock on a door and say, this just happened. Is this your cat? Because I'm either going to say, no, it's not, or yes, it is. But at least you would have made that effort. And I said, that's what I'm really more disappointed about, that you didn't bother to, check with me. I said, I nursed that. I've been taking care of that cat for 5 years, and that cat was super friendly. And to find out that it was killed by your dog, and then I wasn't even told about it, I go, I'm really bothered by that. And then he's like, well, that cat was vicious. When I got my dog, that dog had scratches all over his face. And I said, well, that's interesting. I go, because that cat was declawed. So the only way that your dog could have scratches on his face is if it came from the cat's back claws. And the only way your dog would get scratched in the face by my cat's back claws is if my cat was in your dog's mouth. So, that's not really you can't really say that your dog was, defending himself against a vicious cat, when the only way your dog would have even gotten injured was if my cat was already in your dog's mouth. And once I said that, he kind of I can see he didn't have any other argument. It was kind of like checkmate at this point. So he just said he was sorry. And then I said, well, did you at least, what did you do with the cat? And he said, well, I drove him down the street. There's this field and I buried him. And I said, well, okay, I just wanted to, did you really do that? Or, because I heard the cat was, still alive. And, I just want to make sure you didn't just toss the cat in the trash like a piece of garbage. And he's like, no. When I went back to get the cat was gone. And, I buried her in a field. Now, I don't know if that's true or if he was just saying that to try and make me feel better, but that's what he said. So I'll take him at his word at it. And in summarizing, I basically said, well, listen, if I see your dog roaming around without a leash again, I'm going to call animal control. I said I almost called animal control as it is. That's how upset I was to find out about him killing my cat. But I want to at least talk to you and get your side of the story. And I'm just letting you know if it happens again, I'm going to call animal control. And he seemed to be uneasy when I said that. This dog is like his kid, very close with this dog. And I told him, I said, I don't want to do that, but I don't want to see any other animals die. I have another cat. I know my other neighbors have cats. So just, I'm putting you on notice is basically what I told him. And that was it. He said he was sorry. I said, yeah, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry this had to happen. And from that point on, the dog, he's been on a leash. When they're hanging out in their garage, the dog is leashed up and can't just wander the neighborhood. So He's ended up listening, and since that time, I have spoken to him since, and we have apologized for how, things went down. And moral of the story, don't hold any grudges, right? Like, life is too short. It was an accident. I don't blame the dog. I blame him and how his behavior was. And after I confronted him about it, he's done everything I've said. He's made sure the dog doesn't roam, and we're friendly still. And that's the way it should be. If you live in a neighborhood, you don't want to be an animosity with your neighbors. So, I think that's it. Unfortunately, the cat, it was a sad situation. You find a cat, you take care of it, you nurse it back to health, and then you find out it gets killed by a dog that's roaming off a leash. It's very sad. So, sorry if this was a sad story. I try to tell it in a way where it's an informative thing. Kind of just brings you into my world, my life, sharing some things about me that you may not have known. And if you have any questions for me, whether it be, if you want to hear more about something, if you have an art question, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'll answer those questions on future videos. Meanwhile, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed this drawing. It had some rough spots for me. There's certain things about it I'm not pleased with, but overall, I really like how it turned out. And I hope you do too. So if you have any questions, again, leave me a comment. Thanks for following me. And I will see you guys hopefully soon. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.